1 in 5 Switch owners has Animal Crossing's New Horizons. It's the first Switch game to sell 5 million physical copies in Japan. It's a cultural phenomenon, a sales juggernaut. I even know a few people who want to get a Switch just for this game. So, why has this game taken the world by storm?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
The story. I know what you're thinking. Animal Crossing has a story? Just this once, it does. And it's the best kind of story you could ask for in a game like this. Build up your island, eventually unlocking the resident service building, and then continue to expand and decorate until you get a 3-star island. You start with the Nook family, and 2 random villagers on a deserted island. Well, the Nook family, 2 random villagers, and the 2 dodo pilots, as the airport is the only structure on the island for the first few days. To continue the very charming plot, you just keep talking to the internet's favorite slumlord, Tom Nook. And in the end, you get everything set up and get that 3-star rating, and the credits roll. It's absolutely adorable. Of course, I have no footage of any of this, because Nintendo made a really strange call to limit 1 island per Switch. So, if I started a new character for this game, I'll just move into my existing island as a new neighbor. And to even do that, I'd have to create a new profile first. Or I could completely erase all of my game data and start over with a new random island. I don't understand this. I really wish, I could have had multiple characters on multiple independent islands on the same profile. As is, I don't see much of a point to creating a new profile to play on the island I already have, and I don't know if I'll ever want to completely erase my island. But it is what it is, I guess. While the story is extremely light and fun, that's not the reason people play Animal Crossing. It's for the stuff that happens after the credits have rolled. The gameplay. Animal Crossing relies on a tried-and-true gameplay loop. Every time I start up the game, I check my mail, take out my bug-catching net just in case I see something worth catching, go around picking up weeds and seashells, hit rocks to collect clay and metal, dig up any fossils that have appeared overnight, get the fossils appraised, donate anything I can to the museum, and then sell everything else to the Nooklings. I consider these my daily chores. But don't let that name fool you. My daily chores are a constant source of entertainment for me. I do them in the same order around the island every time I log on. And after my chores are done, I kinda just do them again on a much smaller and slower scale. I catch bugs and fish, collect resources, sell. Occasionally I do some construction project or decide to decorate a specific area of my island. But that loop of catching, collecting, and selling always persists. New to the series, we have Nook Miles, a currency the player can earn by doing tasks. There are 2 broad types of tasks that award Nook Miles. One is largely like Xbox and Steam achievements. Catch your first 10 fish, here's some miles and a stamp for your achievement. It's that kind of thing. The second is Nook Miles Plus feature, which have a rotating set of tasks like sell this much or talk to these villagers. Nook Miles are then used to buy upgrades, decorations, and plane tickets to the Mystery Island tours, something I'll get into in a bit. You access your Nook Miles by using your nifty Nook phone, another new feature to New Horizons. Unfortunately, while I really dig the Nook Miles system for their constant drip feeding of dopamine, I feel that the Nook phone is a huge waste of potential. In-game, all the Nook phone is a menu screen. You can check which bugs and fish you've caught, access the terraforming mode, invite friends over, and check your Nook Miles. This is all basic menu functions. I wish that it could operate more like an actual smartphone. Since you have a bank account in the game, why can't I access those functions on my phone? Or at least buy things with my bank balance instead of using cold hard cash? I can take pictures with my Nook phone, or perhaps more correctly, enter a photo mode via my Nook phone, but I can't text friends the photos I've taken, or turn a picture into the background of a postcard. Or what about calling NPCs just to say hi, or to invite them over to your house? Of course, if you could invite villagers over, there isn't anything to do, as there's no meaningful way to interact with objects you're not collecting or harvesting. You can't really play pool or basketball. There are 391 unique villagers, each incredibly well designed and adorable. But according to the Animal Crossing fan wiki, there are only 8 personalities spread across all 391 villagers. So while I have yet to see too many duplicates of a specific villager, I do happen across a great many characters who say the exact same things. I get that this is the trade-off. You either have a handful of really well-developed characters, or a bunch of incredibly shallow characters. And I don't think Nintendo made the wrong choice here. But this does mean, for me personally, I don't really talk to the villagers all that much. Only doing so when there's Nook Miles involved, or if they have something for me to do, or if they're just giving me a present. I'm not really invested in any of them. They're kind of like your spouses in Fable 2 and Fable 3, or The Sims in The Sims.
Breaking news for our viewers in the West. A stunning report just out. It shows a record-shattering 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week. That is double last week's record report.
I mean, they're incredibly cute. I mean, look at this one. God, that's cute. Thank God that's cute. Speaking of new features, there's now tool durability. Personally, I believe that before adding any feature to a game, one has to consider what that feature brings in terms of theming, storytelling, and enjoyment. And I try to judge these features by that same criteria. When there's weapon durability in a post-apocalyptic hellscape like Fallout 3, it adds to the themes of scarcity and tells the player that everything in the world is falling apart. Is repairing your gear fun? No, not necessarily. But it does add enough to the game's theming and storytelling that I think it is a worthwhile feature. There isn't a theme of scarcity in Animal Crossing, but there is a DIY theme. Everything on the island is handmade. The player designs everything, and crafting really adds to that theme, as does customizing furniture, terraforming the land, and designing your own clothing, flags, and textures. I don't think having to craft 8,000 flimsy fishing poles fits that theme, and if I could offer a suggestion, it would be this. We should have tiers for our tools. Let's say you start with a flimsy net. Then you find a do-it-yourself recipe to build a Tier 2 net, which allows you to sneak up and catch bugs easier. It also has rudimentary customization options. Tier 3 makes bugs even easier to sneak up on, and has even further cosmetic customization options. And the final tier has the most customization, and changes how the tool is used. With the net example, perhaps you spin around in a 360-degree radius, so that even if you're being chased by a tarantula, scorpion, or wasp, you can easily catch it. Or a Tier 4 fishing pole could allow you to better aim where your lure goes into the water, as well as have a higher chance to catch a rare fish. This hypothetical tier system would mirror the rest of the game better. We start in a simple tent, and we end up in a large 3-story house. The island starts deserted and ends up as fully decorated and tricked out as your imagination allows. Tool durability doesn't really fit in with the theming of customization and improvement. In fact, since the basic resources required for flimsy tools are so readily available, and the use of metal to make an improved version of the tool is less available, I feel more encouraged by the game to simply keep with the flimsy tools instead of getting the more expensive improved tools. And that goes doubly for the more unique looking tool variants that are for sale by the Nooklings. Why would I waste my money on something that's just going to break and handles exactly the same as the cheapest, easiest to construct version? Mystery Island tours bring you to one of 18 small islands with fresh resources and an increased spawn rate for fish and bugs. A few Mystery Islands even provide rare fish or bugs in abundance, like everyone's favorite Tarantula Island. Very rarely, you can get a non-native fruit on a Mystery Island. Each game of Animal Crossing New Horizons gets its own native fruit. I got oranges, for example, which means all I can ever find are oranges and coconuts. All my non-orange fruit trees were planted from non-native fruit that I got from other players. So unless you're lucky with a Tarantula Island, Mystery Islands are just the same 18 small maps where you collect the exact same things that you're already collecting on your island. It feels like another missed opportunity. We could have flown into strange islands with cool decorations that we could bring back home, or islands in a different time zone that allows us to hunt specific types of bugs and fish at any time of the day. Or we could go to the opposite hemisphere to hunt a completely different set of fish and bugs from our own island. We could have explored pirate coves, islands with huge shipwrecks, met indigenous people and made friends with them. Maybe there's an island that the pilots are afraid of because it has a reputation like the Bermuda Triangle. Instead, I just occasionally do a Mystery Island tour in the hopes of making a lot of money from fish and bugs. The early game is tedious. A central conceit of the game is that it happens in real time. If it's 8 a.m. when you turn on the game, it's 8 a.m. in the game. Different bugs and fish come out at different times, stores open and close at specific times, and everything you do takes real-time days. The first week of Animal Crossing is its weakest. You're limited with traversal options, as the tools like the ladder and pole vault are locked away behind rewards, something that'll take days to accomplish. The museum is my favorite building, and attempting to fill it up with every bug, fish, fossil, and piece of artwork is my passion. But setting the museum up was frustratingly slow. To get the museum, first you have to catch 5 different critters, either bugs or fish, and turn them over to Tom Nook. Tom Nook will then have you pick out a plot of land for the museum. The next real-world day, Blathers, the museum curator, will move in on that spot in a tent. At this point, Blathers gives you the DIY recipe to make a shovel, allowing you to finally dig up clams, fossils, and crickets. Now Blathers needs 10 more bugs, fish, or fossils before he'll open up the museum. At this point, you either already have these from the day before, as you've read up or you know that you're going to need these critters, or you'll be frustrated because you've been selling your critters and now you need to find more. While this was my first Animal Crossing game, I was lucky to have friends who are familiar with these games and warned me that I'll need one of everything I caught for the museum. So, now with 15 total donations, Blathers agrees to set up a museum. If you have more to donate, Blathers will not accept those at this time, so you must wait another day to donate the rest of your critters. The quickest you can set up the museum takes 3 real-life days, and you are capped on 15 donations until it's opened. Or, you could disconnect your Switch from the internet and go into your time settings and just skip a day. Fans call this practice time traveling, and I won't judge anyone who time travels this game. It is a legitimate way to have fun and skip all these mandatory waiting stages, which are needlessly tedious, like too much of this game is. Examples of this game's tedium include talking to the dodos to travel to a mystery island or go to another player's island takes forever. The crafting station forces you to create things one at a time. The crafting also requires the ingredients to be in your inventory instead of in your storage, requiring you to dig through your storage to get your ingredients first. The Nooklings have to greet you when you walk in their store, and you have to talk to them for a few screens before you can buy any item. And at the Able Sisters clothing shop, you can't buy 2 of the same item type at once. If you want 2 different shirts, you'll have to go to that buying screen twice and speak to the Able Sister 4 times as she talks to you every time you enter and leave the dressing room. Finally, we come to the multiplayer. I don't like it. I like visiting islands, I like seeing what friends have done to decorate, but there's nothing to do on a friend's island. There's no way to decorate another person's island, you can't do a construction project together, there's no multiplayer events like racing or fishing contest. I mostly use multiplayer to sell my native oranges for profit. It's another feature that feels really underutilized. Despite my criticisms of the game, I actually really love Animal Crossing New Horizons. I also really appreciate the fact that we keep getting free updates and events. Stuff like Easter parties with Easter egg hunts, or adding Jolly Red and artwork, which opened up the art wing in the museum. And most recently, we got an update that allowed us to swim and dive for new sea critters. It would have been all too easy and acceptable to charge a season pass for this kind of content, but Nintendo has been rolling it out since launch for free for everyone with an internet connection. Hell, while I was putting this together, a new update came out, the somewhat unfortunately named Summer Update Wave 2.
The CDC director is now warning a second wave of coronavirus infections this winter likely will be worse than what all of us are going through right now.
Of course, I don't think the integration of these new features is perfect. Like I previously said, I want to fill the museum up. But with the 1.2.0 patch, they added Jolly Red and the art wing to the museum. And it's kind of busted. Buying art from Jolly Red is the only way that you can get artwork, but there's no guarantee when exactly he'll arrive on your island. I've seen users on the Animal Crossing Reddit say that they've gone 16 days between visits, and since Jolly Red is an unscrupulous sort, he also sells forgeries. Forgeries cannot be donated, and there's no guarantee Red will have a real piece of artwork when he visits. And if he does have a real art piece for you, you still have to wait a whole day for it to arrive in the mail, instead of just leaving Red's store with the artwork that you just purchased. It's so poorly integrated that I have to doubt that it was properly playtested. The first summer update, which introduced diving to the game, also has a small oversight in it. The diving suit you need to swim doesn't count as clothing, so you can't set it as an outfit you can change into via the Magic Wand tool. It also does not count as a tool, so you cannot attach it to the quick tool menu to quickly put it on or take it off, which all wouldn't be so bad, but then you have the Able sisters who will not let you into their dressing rooms with a diving suit on, and you now have to spend time digging through your menus to take it off. It isn't the worst oversight ever, but it's just a little bit sloppier than it needs to be. The game is all charm. It's wonderful and whimsical in its art direction, goals, and music. But there's so much chuff here that it drags it down. Why do I have to go to the computer to withdraw money from a bank account before I buy something? Why is this computer terminal even in the game when all of its functionality could have been on the Nook phone? Why must I button mash through the same dozen screens of dialogue every time I want to fly somewhere? I would recommend Animal Crossing New Horizons to those who really enjoy these kinds of simulation games. But I think it'd be a perfect $30 purchase when it goes on sale. Thanks for listening.